Joining me today, NBA, NCAA host, producer, Ashley Nevel. Thank you for joining the Conversations with the Coach and Athlete. I can't wait to hear this wisdom for you. How are you holding up?
I'm doing good. Just trying to hang in there like everyone else and trying to stay busy, maintain my weight. That's been the biggest problem, not going to the kitchen every 5 seconds. But besides that, I've been in pretty good spirits, pretty positive.
Yeah, it's sad that I know that it's a total of 13 steps from the end of my couch to the refrigerator and back. That's sad, right?
You counted, huh?
That's sad. All right, well, let's get straight up into this. I didn't want to go into the whole COVID-19 and how it's affecting basketball and all that, but you're an NBA specialist. The NBA was kind of a front runner when it came to not only shutting down its season, but also the NBA was a front runner when it came to shutting down the season. Then you see state governors kind of follow suit after that with the lockdowns. So with the NBA doing this, Adam Silver, great for the brand, great for the image of the league going forward, right?
No, absolutely. I mean, if you think about it, everyone kind of was thinking at that point, like, oh, it's not going to happen to me, right? We were all kind of making jokes and kind of pushing it to the side. And then when you start to really see famous people getting it, it really starts to ring an alarm like, okay, this is a serious problem. Yeah. You started seeing, Rudy Gobert, and then after that, it was a trickle effect where other people started getting infected. Certain refs that were officiating certain games started to get symptoms and whatnot. And it got to the point where, like, okay, these players are traveling so much throughout the country and interacting with fans that it was going to be a danger if you continue playing these games and you continue having fans in the stands. So I think what Adam Silver did, pulling the plug when he did, was the smart move. Yeah. And I think a lot of people at first were kind of like, oh my God, what is he doing? But Adam Silver knows what he's doing. Yeah. He's probably one of the best commissioners that we've seen in all of sports. He really leads in he's just a more open kind of guy. He's very inclusive. He's very just a guy that really takes responsibility when he needs to and step up to the plate. So I really think what he did was very important. And as you said, like, there was a domino effect after that. We started seeing more leagues shutting down. I know the UFC still wanted to fight, and they're like, no, we're not going to do that anymore. So I think what he did was the smart move. Absolutely. Yeah,
the NBA definitely doing a lot for their brand, definitely doing a lot for their fans out there. And you kind of mentioned some of the players that have tested positive, Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, I believe. I think I read that somewhere, but no Kyrie.
I don't think it came out, but I think Kevin Durant was the only one that came out.
Okay.
But I wouldn't be surprised if Kyrie had it too.
Yeah. So, it's who knows? And I don't want to put that out there because that's we can't. That's not substantiated. We can't. I can't really say that that's something that's come out and been reported. I just heard that somewhere. But we talk about like the stigma. Do you think there's going to be a stigma behind the players who have tested positive or the refs that has tested positive when it comes to being a player? And now the season's back open, but now if you're a player, would you want to play against a Kevin Durant or a Donovan Mitchell unless they got retested and you were playing and you got reassured that these players are okay to compete?
Well, I know that they're not going to bring them back on the court, I think, until they have league-wide testing for not just the players, but the officials, all the reporters who are reporting on the game, all the coaches. Anyone that works within the organization. It can be even sales department. I think they need to have a league-wide testing for everyone before they even think about getting back to the court. But, I mean, once they're infected, I know they can get reinfected. That's the scary thing about this virus is that it can happen again. But, it was just – I don't think they should be afraid. If they're cleared to play, they need to trust that Adam Silver is – knowing what he's doing, and they need to be able to trust that he's putting them in the best position. But I do think they are going to have league-wide testing, and then I did see that they might want to try to have one area to get all the guys to play in. The only thing that kind of concerns me that they were talking about a bubble, having everyone at like one hotel, and then maybe doing it in Vegas, like somewhere where they can all be kind of quarantined together. But I start to think, all right, well, if they're even going to see their family, right? They're not going to be locked in the hotel for a month or two without seeing their family. I mean, that's crazy. But you have to like wonder, all right, where has their family been? Has their family gone to the grocery store? Has their family interacted with this person? Have one of those guys broken the rules and hung out with someone that they maybe shouldn't hang out with? I don't want to say anything about that, but I mean, there's all these things where, again, like we're human, right? We're human. We don't like to be locked away and isolated by ourselves. We want to hang out with people. We crave human interaction. So it's just, you can't blame them if they do end up doing something they're not supposed to be doing. But again, like that's really hard, I think, to get everyone in one place and to keep them there without branching off. And then they want to get testing every week. That I also was reading that they want to test players every week. How are you going to have the resource? I mean, I know the NBA would have the resources to do that, but there's millions of other people out there who aren't getting access to these tests. Like it almost makes it seem like, all right, so these athletes are more important than people. Like, no, like they're people too. Like we're all important. So it also, I could see some controversy there. So I can see both sides. We want sports to come back, but at what cost?
Yeah, there's a lot of money involved in the NBA. And it's strangely, I feel strange saying this, but I have more confidence in the NBA than I do in certain other administrations and other things that are put in place. But let's go ahead and move on from that, because I wanted to talk about your brand, your brand, your journey, your come up, and the things you do to contribute to sports culture. Your journey. I went back to your first YouTube video. I think it dates back to November 8th, 2013. You did a video for ESPN where you were interviewing some of the players for Arizona Wildcats.
Yes.
Take us from Ashley 2013. Take us through the journey from there to Ashley right now 2020.
How bad was that interview, by the way?
Looking back, we'll be like, oh, she could tweak some things. But at that time, I would be like, oh, you're on your way, girl. You are on your way. Wow. So take us through the journey.
Because I go back and I look at that stuff too sometimes, and I see the difference in my voice and my pace. So it's something that I really had to work on. Some people have it natural. For me, like interacting with people is huge for me. So when I started at the University of Arizona, I knew I wanted to do something with talking to people, whether it was like psychology, sociology, and then I always loved sports, so I kind of combined the two. And then from there, again, ESPNU, I was covering the football and basketball teams. I was creating all my own content. I was asking more like fun questions. Believe it or not, I would drive my car to and from Chicago to Arizona every summer to have my car back at home. Yeah, my mom was crazy. Yeah. Then I wanted a car at home, so then we would drive back. And during the whole car ride, it's about 24 hours one way, and I would literally study the entire football team. So I knew who everyone was. It could be someone who doesn't even play, like a walk-on. But I knew everyone's positions, and I would print out all their pictures with their faces and like kind of like a little biography about them, and I would study. So that was a huge component to what kind of made me knowledgeable in sports. I mean, I always watched it, but it's different when you're actually interacting with people and then kind of knowing more of the X's and O's, how certain players play, their tendencies, that kind of thing. So I really started studying who they are, and then I would just ask questions that were out of the box. So that was another big thing for me is I would start to see some of these reporters, like I would watch TV, I would study it. So number one, studying everything possible. I would study some of the greats, the people that I wanted to become, people that I really wanted to emulate my style around. But then I would also kind of see like things that I didn't like and things that I maybe wanted to correct. And that was some of those questions. The questions that were being asked to players, I was like, why are you asking this? Like, I don't know if someone's in your headset telling you to ask this question. A lot of people don't realize that they have producers in their ears wanting to ask these questions. I'm not sure if it's because they want to start drama or they want the fans to be excited about it or
clickbait.
it could clickbait, headlines, things like that. But some of the questions I was just like, how do you think they felt? They just lost, right? Like they're unhappy. And he just had a big win. How do you think he feels? So I was like, all right, we need to start asking some new questions. So after the University of Arizona, I went to a lot of sports conferences, really got to meet some people, a lot of coaches who were college coaches who are now in the NBA now, which is pretty cool. I was interviewing, talking to, and then I went to the Summer League, NBA Summer League, which is one of the best experiences of my life. And I've been going every single year. Even if I don't have credentials, I still go because of the networking aspect. But from there, I got credentials right after college somehow, and I brought a selfie stick. And it was not really the time where people were really filming things on their phones, but that was all I had. I'm like, I'm not about to go spend all this money on a camera and a tripod and lug all this. Like, I'm not doing it. So I was like, all right, I have my phone. I have a microphone and like a plug, it's like flips on. And then I have my selfie stick. So I was going around interviewing, asking all these fun questions and kind of networking, pretending like I knew what I was doing. And I would just kind of ask, people that have kind of looked like they've been there, done that. I would just say, hey, like, where do I go for this? Who do I talk to if I want this interview? Like, kind of just navigating my way. And then the questions I was asking were interesting to some of the players because they were like, I've never heard this before. It was all like the same old, like, talking about the game. And it's like, dude, it's Summer League. Like, yeah, some people really want to make a roster spot. Like, there have been guys that I've talked to who are like, what do you mean? Like, it's just one loss. Like, I want to win. And like, there's certain guys that go in there for one purpose, and that purpose is to get a roster spot. But then other guys are really just trying to play to have fun. They're going to Vegas to have business meetings. I mean, a lot of these guys tap into other ventures, not just basketball, but they have so many other hobbies. So I wanted to keep it light. I wanted to keep it fun, and I wanted to just keep it more informative, not just like about the game. People watch the game. Like, they know what happened. They can go to the stat sheet. So I just started asking fun questions, and then from there, it kind of just took off. I know I'm kind of going on and on, but the questions I was asking started to get noticed from a lot of the players, and they respected it because they were like, okay, it's a new person asking the same stuff. And even channels in LA were like taking some of those sound bites and putting them on their stations. And it's like, I'm this girl here, not working for anybody, asking all these questions. And it's like, all right, I'm onto something here.
But I love it. And are you referring to the Nevel update? Was this the Nevel update that you started or created that you're asking these questions?
ESPNU.
Okay.
And then the Nevel update was kind of like, I got into like a standstill where it was like, all right, I'm doing all these interviews, but I'm not good enough, or maybe I don't have the look that some of these news stations want. And that's the thing with, I've sent so many reels out. I've probably applied to like over 200, 300 jobs, and I've been rejected and denied over and over and over again. I'm not really sure why. No one really gives feedback. Everyone's kind of passive. They're like, oh, we found a candidate more qualified than you. Good luck in your search. And it's like, it would be nice to know, like, what do I need to do? But I also think that constructive criticism also takes away from who you are as a person. And some of the constructive criticism I was getting wasn't even on my content and like my approach to my questions, but it was more so on my appearance, and I need to cut my hair, and I need to do this and do that. And that's the thing that women fall into a lot, is having to look a certain way, and you can't dress a certain way until you make it here or here. Like, I see women wearing tight dresses, but I wear a tight dress and it's like, no, it's too like provocative and inappropriate. Your shirt's too low cut. I'm like, I don't even have anything to really show anyways, but it's too low cut. But then I see women who are, overflowing, and it's like, all right, like, I don't know what to do at this point. Like, I'm trying to figure it out. So the Nevel update was kind of a way for me to be like, all right, I know sports, so I'm just going to start posting my own content. Even if I'm like in my bed, I'm like watching a game, I'm in my bed. I did a really funny Allen Iverson one. Yeah. I'll never forget that, where he was he's getting interviewed. He has glasses on and he couldn't even talk straight. And I'm like, yo, this guy had a little bit of fun before the game.
Classic AI.
Yeah. So I threw on my like Allen Iverson jersey, put some glasses on, put a hat on, and I like did like an impersonation of like the interview. And then I just started posting this content. And then from there, I was able to strike a deal with this one of my he's one of my really good friends. He had a company that had a bunch of studios, recording studios for musicians. If you want to like host a party or have a concert, they had a big warehouse. Like this place was massive. And they had like little rooms that people can rent out and like make their studio. So I rented the studio out, made it my own, and just started recording more, just a little bit. I wanted it to be a little bit more professional than just my room, but people don't realize that like everyone's doing content from everywhere right now, and it's okay.
Yes.
Some of my highest viewed content has been stuff that's like not even professionally produced. Things that are like completely just like, I didn't even think that they were going to go viral. Like some of my worst interviews that I felt like I could have done better. Some of like just like the weirdest things have gone viral, and people don't understand. Like sometimes when you're too calculated, it's like, it doesn't always work the way you think it's going to work. I think people want to see authentic. They don't want to always see like, all right, a perfect room, perfect, you know, everything's so scripted. Like they want to see a little loose. So with this, with the stuff I was producing, you know, I wanted to keep it, you know, light, but also informative. And then when I got my own studio, it started to be like lockdown. All right, we want to make this like The Jump. I wanted it like The Jump or ESPN First Take. And I had a co-producer who was helping me with it. And we were both big sports fans. And he was a very good writer. So he was kind of helping me. We were kind of both like bouncing ideas off each other. All right, I want to say it like this, or I want to put my inflection more on there. So we'd go through it. Then I'd go to the studio. Obviously, I'd have to do my own hair, my own makeup. I have to type everything out. We had a prompter. I had to set that up. I had to set up a camera. And then from there, I started noticing like, okay, like the same topics we were talking about would be on The Jump the next morning. And I was like, all right, I'm onto something. I'm like, I can do this. Like, I know I can do this. I just need someone to give me a chance. That's all I need. So from there, I started getting like more noticed. Then I actually started working for the NBA Summer League. So I went from having a credential as this young girl out of college to actually working for the Summer League. And thankfully, the guy who directed it, who put it on, I met him when I was there my first year. And I interviewed him, and I think he really appreciated the fact that someone wanted to talk to him. I mean, people want to talk to him, but like people are there for the players and the coaches, right? Yeah. But for me, I'm like, no, like who are the founders of this? Like who put this amazing thing on? Like this is great. So he helped me out. I ended up working for them and started doing some interviews at Summer League, building my brand, my connections with people. And then everything just kind of like dominoed effect from there. Like I started getting jobs in different freelance positions. And then before all this stuff happened, I was supposed to go to the Pac-12 tournament. I had some things lined up. I was supposed to be out in LA. I had some things lined up for actually a Bulls-Lakers game, like a really good opportunity. I know. Like my hometown Bulls at Staples. Like even though the Bulls aren't any good, like they're still my team.
Still your hometown team, yeah.
Staples Center.
And you're working, and you'd be working as well. Oh.
Yeah, so I was like, oh man, everything was like really, because I took a little bit of time off and things were really starting to pick back up again. And I was just like, damn. So, and I had some meetings, but again, like we can't control what happens. We just have to trust that everything's going to be put into place. But that's kind of my journey. I know I ramble.
No, you didn't ramble. I wanted to actually go back and to continue to talk about how you pretty much carved your own niche. Yeah. You know, like no one was hiring you at the time. And like you said, you were wondering, I need practice. I need the reps. And you said you created your own niche, started asking these unique questions that no one else was asking, and that ultimately got you noticed. Right. And that kind of happened to me when I was in Canada. I started like a whole web series when I was playing in the Canadian Football League called Jersey Off, Suit On. And my roommate up there, one of my teammates, would be my camera guy. And when you finally get a video after shooting a video all day, cameraman's moving all around, my sound was terrible. But at the same time, that's what got me noticed, in Hollywood or in LA to get an opportunity, or not even a place at the table, just an opportunity. So can you kind of talk about how maybe one instance of failure turned into an opportunity for you?
I would say several instances of failure, because I have a whole list of things.
Give us the juicy one for someone that's sitting at home like, I'm going to quit.
I'm not going to go there. There's been some, that's the thing, is that when you start to like really grow and navigate and like start to figure things out, like I really wish that if I had someone mentoring me when I was 18, 19 years old, because I was so like just in my own world, just stubborn, thinking I know everything, just kind of like ignorant. And I wish I would have known everything that I know now, because I would have probably been well on my way at this point.
Yeah.
But I think having a mentor is so important for people. First and foremost, the mentorship is huge, just because, again, like, we really don't know what we're doing, right? And then a lot of people don't want a mentor because, again, like, I don't know, I notice certain things. I think there's a lot of competition involved, is like, I don't want to mentor you because you might take my place, or things like that, where it's like they don't necessarily want to help or give too much because they want you to kind of figure it out for yourself, which is totally fine. But no one gets to where they want to get to with no help. Everyone needs help at one way or another. So I think just starting to really find that niche. And in order to find a niche, you have to figure out what's missing, right? The people that make the most money are the people that figure out a solution to a problem or figure out something that's missing. So I started seeing, all right, the questions were boring. So how can I make them more fun? All right, how can I do my own show? How can I produce my own content? This is the thing. I don't know if people just don't know where to start, because I do remember I was at a place, I remember in college, where I would come home for the summer and I would watch the summer league on TV. And I'd be like, why am I not there right now? Like, what do I have to do? Like, I don't know what to do with my life. Like, I'm so bored. Like, I need to do something. Like, I want to be at summer league, blah, blah, blah. And I manifested it eventually. But again, like, people that I meet, like, through my coaching program and whatnot, they don't want to, like, I don't know if it's they don't want to put in the work, but they're waiting for an opportunity. And that's the worst thing that you can do, is wait for an opportunity. Because it's like, what are you doing all those 24 hours in a day? There's so many things you can be doing with just your phone, your laptop. I watch so much ESPN that it would make my head explode. I would watch every single show from literally like 6 a.m. until like their last show of the night, to kind of see, all right, what topics do they like? What's juicy? How does Molly Kiram, how does her tone of voice, like, work with the people that she's with? How does Rachel Nichols do what she does so well? And I started really following these people. Michelle Beadle. I love Michelle Beadle with NBA Tonight. I know she's not on the show anymore. But she was someone I really loved to learn from, because she kind of had a little bit of my personality, where she's kind of like a homeboy. Like, she's like, you like, the boys
for sure.
and like make jokes and like make fun of their friends. Like, I saw some qualities in her that I really liked. And I also saw some qualities in Rachel Nichols, where she was very articulate. And what's crazy about Rachel Nichols is her work ethic. So I wish she would talk about this more. I wish that she was more open with her journey. But I know a lot of her colleagues and a lot of people that she works with, and she writes her own show. I mean, she probably gets producers to help a little bit here and there to maybe fact check certain things or what have you, but she writes her own show and her own monologues every single day. And so I would hear,
impressive.
Very impressive. People think, oh, I could just make it and I could just get, pretty makeup and hair, and, I'll have my producer write my show for me and I'll just go on with my day. I'll read the prompter and I'll leave. Like, no, that's not how it works. That's not how this grind works. Like, you need to put in the time. And the majority of these on-camera hosts or reporters who do exceptionally well have a journalism background, which is either they like to write or they've had a lot of experience writing and reading. I notice when I read a lot and I write a lot, you become better with your words, your vocabulary. That's why Stephen A. Smith is so good at what he does, why Max Kellerman's so good at what he does. They all started in the business of writing. And also covering a variety of sports. But Rachel Nichols is one of those that people don't really understand. It's like, she does everything on her own. She is one of the smartest in the business. And then you have Michelle Beadle, who could do anything on the fly. She can come in probably like 10 minutes before, and she could just look over everything. All right, I got this, whatever. Let's just do
certain
this.
People like that. There are certain
So you have a mix where you either improvise, where, all right, you have a set of bullet points and you can just kind of go from there. And then you have a person like a Rachel Nichols who, like, no, I'm going to sit down. I need everything precise and perfect.
No.
If you watch Rachel, she's like literally flawless. Her whole entire show, she's flawless. And that comes with reps, experience. I mean, I think she's already in her late 40s. And And then you have a girl like Malika Andrews. She's only 28 years old, and she's on there reporting some of the biggest news in NBA. And I'm like, wow, how did she get that? I don't know. I didn't even know who she really was. I want to know how she got there. She probably had some great mentors. She probably is one of those girls that kind of already knew how to talk on camera. Some people are just super gifted, who just have it. She probably had a really good rapport with people. I don't know. I don't know much about her, but again, like there's not a one size fits all for everybody. And that's why everyone gets mistaken. They're like, well, I've already done this, and this. Okay, well, maybe try something new. Maybe what you've been doing is not working, even though you might think like, oh, this is great. Maybe you're going to do something else to really blow the lid off and be like, oh, wow, this person just separates themselves. But yeah, it's about separating yourselves. What are your skills? What do you need to work on? But I would really focus on the things that you do well and then maybe tweak it from time to time. But it's really studying the game wherever you want to be. I mean, like when you play football, you got to study the game. You got to study. You got to look at game film. I mean, you're not just working on your own skills and abilities. You need to really see what other people are doing, like what's going to be coming at you. What are some of the plays that they run? So it kind of goes both ways. You have to really study what's going on out there, and then also maybe find a way to see that there's a trend. All right, what's going to be trending in a year from now? How can I get ahead of the curve? So there's a lot of elements that really go into it, but try not to overthink. People overthink so much.
I just learned a lot from you in the writing aspect of it. I didn't come from a writing background. I am one of those professional athletes former professional athletes that played football my entire life, went through college, did C work in college just to work my butt off physically as an athlete to get to the NFL. During the NFL, CFL days, that's when I kind of realized that I was going to have a job after this. And that's when I wanted to get into entertainment news. And, I worked my way for this. But this has always been something that's been in the back of my head was I need to take a writing class. I need to take some sort of journalism class, writing class. And now that we have all this time because of COVID-19 and the lockdowns, I actually just started looking up like those master classes, those creative writing classes, and some other things that I found online that I'm going to start on Monday when it comes to my writing. So I personally just learned something from you, hearing you, and you're coaching in the game now. You put in your work and you study. Now you're coaching and teaching classes. How's that going for you? And what are you learning from the coaching aspect of it rather than just being the student from it?
That's a good question. That was always a question I would ask the coaches when I would get into coaches is like, you're doing so much teaching. Like, what are you learning from your players? That was always my favorite question because you'd really get like a good, insightful, heartfelt answer. But basically, I wanted to start coaching just because I feel like there's so many people not being heard. And there's so many people getting rejected like me and so many people who it's like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Like, what do I need to do? So I wanted to build like a community where I have people that I can work with and kind of help guide them. And I've probably learned the biggest thing is confidence. A lot of people lack confidence in themselves. I don't know if it's something that maybe they heard throughout their entire life that they're never going to be good at this. They're never going to amount to something. I've been told what's crazy is I remember this friend I had who told me at the point, she's like, you need to stick to football. And she was like really hating on me. Yeah. She wrote this whole thing. She's like hating on me, saying all this stuff, like stick to football. I'm like, oh, like that's not even like my strong point, but okay. Because I guess she didn't agree with something I said about basketball. So the whole time, you have those people who are like, oh,
you know how that goes.
Stick to sports, stick to politics, stick to this. Like,
shut up and dribble.
Yeah, right. Shut up and dribble type vibe. And it's like, no, like I'm not a one-dimensional person. Like we have so many different things and different avenues we want to tap into. So for me, coaching was so big just because I know what it's like to be rejected. I know what it's like to have people hate on you. And I know what it's like for people to not have faith in you and have faith in what you do. And the biggest thing that you need to understand is that you need to have faith in yourself and you need to be confident within yourself. And how can we build that confidence? So I always go in with like, all right, this is the things that I love that you're doing, and here's what I want to do more of. So it's kind of like what I did with you just now, where we talk about the writing aspect. When they listen to me talk, they start to pick up little things like, okay, I could do this better. I could do this more. And then there's people that I'll see that are working at a university and they have like all this resources to their disposal and they're not utilizing it. I'm like, I go to their Instagram and they have nothing on there. And they're like, well, I cover a sport that I don't want to cover. Or I'm doing this and I don't want to do that. I'm like, okay, I understand. So here's what I would do at this point. I would reach out to whoever possible and say, hey, I'm with this school of journalism. Like, I would love to come to practice and get an interview. Why do you only need to do the assignments that you're told? So that was a thing with me too, where I'm not just going to like do what I'm told to do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do that. So, but again, it's like, my biggest thing is, you probably saw what I posted, is like, I asked for forgiveness, not permission. So if I'm working for a certain company, I'm going to utilize that credential to go other places. Like, I'm not just going to stand still. And I know that it might not be the best advice for people, and it might go against what the higher authorities or corporations have to say, but people need to realize, like, you're trying to build a brand for you too. Because at any moment, as you know, your career can be over. Because done. All right, you're too old. Oh, you've had too many injuries. Oh, we don't like all the stuff you're doing off the field. I mean, I know some football players who do a lot of things off the field because they're passionate about it. Whether it's singing, whether it's doing videos, movies, DJing, anything. And I know the NFL hates it. And I don't know what it is about the NFL, but I know the NBA is definitely more open and more encouraging to the fact that they want their players to be more than just athletes. That's the thing that they pitch. More than an athlete. Uninterrupted has their own more than an athlete, show.
Yes.
They have, because they want to build the brands of the players, because they know that's just as important as the brand of a company, right? So I try to tell people, like, I get that you want to be within the lines and be a good, follow the rules, but I don't know anyone who's ever gotten to where they got to following the rules 100% of the time. You have to sometimes deviate or kind of figure out, all right, well, this isn't working for me. And at any moment, this company can drop me. So when a company fires you, if you have no content, you have nothing, where do you go from there? You have no brand. They don't know you. You have nothing. So I tell people, yeah, it's good to follow within the lines. But one girl I was working with, she was awesome to work with. She was at a station in Ohio. It's like a smaller town. And she was doing just news, and she wanted to do sports. I'm like, first off, you're in the door, which is awesome, because so many people can't even get there, even if it's just a news position. I go, there's only so many spots, so many job opportunities, and you are there right now. So I said, all right, first and foremost, let's be grateful. All right, you're in this position. Second, let's figure out a way that we could start to get you some more reps for sports. So she kind of asked her, I said, you have a studio there, right? I go, okay, cool. So what I'm going to have you do is, I want you to maybe on your day off, you can do something in the studio where you write a monologue like Rachel Nichols does, and do like a short little package, put some clips up. She did that for the Kobe thing, when the whole Kobe thing went down, because she was from LA, and they were like, we really want you to do this piece because we know how much you loved Kobe. So she did it. And I'm like, girl, awesome. Like, that was meant for you. Like, this was perfect for you to do. And then I said, also, okay, on your day off, I go, how many high schools and colleges are around your area? Well, we have a lot of high schools and colleges. Okay, cool. For sports, that's awesome. There's a start right there. So now you're not just doing hard news. You could do some high school basketball, high school football. You could do college football and basketball. I go, okay, you can, it's like an hour and a half or 2 hours to get to Cleveland. Cool. How about you call a reporter who works for the Cavaliers, or you call someone that works for the Browns, and you say, hey, can I meet up with you for some coffee, pick your brain, and maybe shadow you for a day on your day off? These are all things that I've done, that I've lived through. I shadowed someone at ESPN when I was still in college. I said, hey, I'm going to fly myself out. I'll get my own hotel. I want to shadow you for a couple of days. Cool. That's when I met all these people at ESPN. I met producers. I met reporters who I still talk to this day. And it's all those little things. Like, even though people might not see the progress, when I look back at everything that I've done, I'm like, wow. And like, at the moment, you don't think that it's like that big of a deal. But think about like the smallest thing that you've ever done to enhance your football skills. It could be the smallest little tweak. Just getting to that spot on time, right? To be able to know when your quarterback's gonna throw to you. It's that 1 second, right, of either missing the ball or making the catch. So it's all these little precise actions that you take along the road that gets you to the main event. And I try to tell people, like, stop thinking so narrow and like just this narrow-minded approach. And again, like, I'm not blaming them for it, because we all kind of grow up like that, where we're always being told what to do. Just think about the structures of our lives, going to school, right? Can't do this. No, you have to learn this. You have to do this. And we're all being so structured in a way where it's like, how do I be myself? How do I figure out what I want to do at 18 years old, right? Oh, you got to go to college. You got to figure it all out, blah, blah, blah. I don't even know. So it's like, I get that how people have this way of thinking, but that's why they come to me, where I'm like, all right, this is what I did. I'm a little rebel. I like to rebel. I've never liked to listen to authority. Maybe that's why I am meant to kind of do more of my own freelance entrepreneurship type thing. I don't mind working with people or listening to authority or having structure, because I think that's great, especially if it's a company that's well respected and has credibility. I'm all for it. But I definitely think it's so important, again, I'm going to circle back, is to like finding your brand, finding what works for you. I don't want to cut my hair. I'm not cutting my hair. I don't care if it falls off the TV and people are wondering where it went. Like, I have long hair. All right. Like, that's it. And if I don't want to have it all teased and whatever, like, why should I have to do that? So there's certain things where people just need to say, all right, I'm going to take a step back. I'm going to figure out what works for me, what doesn't. Figure out what my values and morals are, and I'm going to stick with it. I mean, if companies can do that and be all picky, well, we don't like her because of this, or we don't like him because of that, why can't I be picky about who I work for? Yeah. Same thing.
Well, I'm loving the gems you're dropping, because throughout this entire conversation, what I've heard, and there are going to be people out there who need to hear this: carve your own niche, do your own work. You know, start your own brand, be your own brand. Paid free work gets you paid work.
Yes.
They need to understand that. And at the end of the day, be you. Like you said, you're not cutting your hair. We have the Crown Act for that now. Crown Act is, for people who don't know, is where you can't be discriminated in the workplace because of your hair, the way your natural hair is. So like you're saying, like, there are things as we're going forward.
Discriminated all the time. Jeez.
Hey, I did want. You said something earlier, and we can kind of wrap after this. But you said something earlier about how some women are wearing the tight dress. Some women are showing, revealing a little bit too much. Do you think of where we are right now? Because you're kind of saying that was in like a past tense type thing. Do you think where we are right now when it comes to women in sports, women in sports entertainment? Do you feel as though we have made great strides to where a woman would be respected for her voice and her brain, and not what she wears or her hair at the same time too? I saw the eyes roll. I said the eyes roll. So kick it to me. Give it to us 100, because as a man, I'm still trying to learn and be not be respectful, but I'm still trying to learn and be respectful and make sure that I am being the gentleman that I am supposed to be amongst you all in the workplace and outside of it as well. So
absolutely. First and foremost, I want to say this: we are all human. Yeah. And again, like, I'm not going to lie, when there's times I look at the TV and I see a guy come on and I think he's attractive, I'm going to say, like, oh, he's cute. Like, okay, whatever. It's natural to think that immediately. Like you can tell when someone's like, oh, like, they look really good, they're pretty, or they're handsome, or wow, like, I love her outfit. Like that's the first thing you see. Like, right when you're walking down the street and you look at someone, the first thing you see is their appearance. Second thing you see is probably how they carry themselves. Are they confident? Are they kind of in their little shell and they're kind of shy? Like, so there's certain things you pick up on, but I do think in this industry, we are being really recognized first and foremost for the way we look and the way we present ourselves. That's first and foremost. That's the first thing you see right when it pops on. If you have it on mute, what are you looking at? Face, demeanor. So I think we do have a long way to go, but I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing for someone to like think you're attractive. Everyone wants to say, oh, but like, listen to what I'm saying. Like, no, I get that. It comes with the whole package, right? When you go on TV, the girls have their makeup done. They have their hair done. They still have to be presentable, right? Also, the light washes you out. You need to have enough makeup on so that you don't look like completely washed out. But, you know, I do think that I still see trolls on Twitter and Instagram making comments like, oh, women talking about sports, like go back to the kitchen. I don't know if they just like think it's funny. But some of those jokes to me are just like, you're just not funny anymore. Like it just really just sounds dumb because there's a lot of women out there who are extremely credible and who have played sports and who have done the work to get to where they are. But do I think women have more to prove than men? Yes. Why? A couple reasons. A lot of these women, I mean, not all of them, but some of them haven't played the sports before. Me, I never played basketball or football, but I know about the sport. I mean, a lot of coaches, think about that. A lot of coaches haven't played a sport, but they've always coached their whole lives, or they've been video coordinators, or they've been scouts, and they just have an eye for talent, or they have a brain for numbers, and they can just figure out how to negotiate those contracts, but they're still in the sport. So I don't think like it should all just like depend on, oh, did you play? I mean, granted, I do love more so listening to athletes talk about things. Like I love watching NBA on TNT with Charles and Shaq because they played. And then you have that little banter between them where like how they talked trash to each other back in the day. They kind of bring it to the set.
Yeah.
You have Dwayne Wade on there now, who's going more in depth because he just retired. So now he's kind of going into a new field. Yeah. We have guys on IG Live who are kind of sharing their experiences. So don't get me wrong. I do love the element of having athletes on a show, being an analyst, being a color commentator, because we get to see it from a different lens, right? They understand what went on in the locker room. They get it. They know what went on, why there wasn't chemistry on the floor that night. They know that there was a fight that went on right before the game, you know, like, so there's like those little things, those little details that reporters can't necessarily get if they're not in the locker room and they're not in those inner circles, because they do need to maintain professionalism, right? But I think we've made strides to where women are starting to get more respected. We are seeing a lot more women on TV now. We're seeing a lot more women do podcasts. And I think it's great. I love it. I think we need more female voices, but I do think I do appreciate a balance of both the female voices, former players jumping in, former coaches, men who haven't played either, who just love sports and they've been around it their whole lives. Like, I respect it all. But there is kind of a double standard, again, with the women. Guys can kind of just roll in there, throw on a suit. Women, we have to get all dolled up, makeup, eyelashes, hair. I see a lot of women eventually get work done. Men get work done too, to make sure that their skin's still staying nice. I have nothing against it. I mean, you're on TV. You have an image to maintain. I get it. But I do think that there's a double standard, especially for people that are trying to break in the industry. I get so nitpicked on like what I wear, how my hair is. Yeah, I still do. I'm a little bit shorter. I'm a little bit thicker. So if I wear something tight, of course, it's like considered provocative. But then if someone's a little bit taller, they wear the same outfit, it's okay for them. Or if they already broke into the industry, they can kind of have their cleavage hanging out. But I can't. I have to be all, zipped up and closed off. And I remember over the summer I did, it was like off season. I was getting some fun content, kind of checking in with the guys during their workouts, hanging out with them. In my interviews, I was wearing like just biker shorts, a crop top, and like a jacket over it. But they're in their workout clothes too. So people were like, oh, it's not professional. I'm like, this isn't meant to be like this, like all-star performance interview. This is supposed to just be a fun off-season interview. Why do I have to get all dolled up, have my hair all teased and perfect and wearing this nice dress and heels? I'm going to a gym. Like literally like a high school gym in Sherman Oaks. Like, why do I have to be all dressed up for that? Like, so my style's more like, yeah, I could dress like, professional and cute, but I also like to keep it casual, like wearing a sweater, wearing, workout pants. Like, it's just, that's what I was wearing when I first went to Summer League. I was just dressed comfortable. I was wearing gym shoes. Like, why, if I'm walking around, running around, like it gets to a point where it's like, enough is enough. Like, why can't I just be who I am? And if I don't want to wear all this makeup, like I get for TV, you have to, but for some of these other interviews, I'm like, why? Like, I can edit it. I can like throw on, like I can change the coloring to where it looks like I have makeup on. But I do think there's a little bit of a double standard. And I do think that women are held to a different, I guess, pedigree than men are. But I think we're making strides, but I don't blame the women for wanting to dress cute. I mean, you feel confident, right? I mean, if someone walks into a place, they're dressed really nice, like you're most likely going to want to engage with them because, wow, like, all right, they clean themselves up nice. Like, all right, they really have, so I get it, but I do think that we have a little bit of a way to go.
Yeah, we're in a confidence business. Deion Sanders used to say, look good, feel good, play good.
Yeah.
Good,
He's
good,
one of the best too.
Absolutely.
I love listening to him.
Hey, Ashley, tell the people where they can find you and what projects do you have coming up next?
So you can find me at Ashley Nevel, just simple ASHLEYNEVEL on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the above. They can go to ABS Sportsnet or abssport.net. I keep forgetting. I have like a type in my name, ashleynevel.com. It all links to the same thing.
Okay.
If they want to look more into my journey, if they want to apply for my coaching program, if they want to just reach out, if there's anyone that does podcasts as well, who watches your show, who want to have me on, I'm willing to talk right now to anyone who reaches out. I'm pretty much an open book right now, just because I want to be able to give back. Because I understand what it's like to be told no from people who are like, I don't want to go on your podcast. I'm like, okay. So I want to be able to be open. So yeah, anyone reaches out, I'm an open book. So yeah.
Loved it. Hey, thank you for the gems and thank you for all that you do for not only your own brand and inspiring others, but for what you do for the culture of sports as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thanks, Ashley. Have a great evening.